So bring it back and start again.
Welcome to another edition of Jibber Jabber, the vocal part of the networking magazine, with me, your host, Sanj Segal. In today's episode, we have the pleasure of speaking to Ashley Seal, a talented actress who's captivated audiences on both stage and screen. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
It's great. What time is it there where you are now?
Oh my goodness. I honestly, right now it looks like it's almost 3 p.m.
Wow.
But
And you're in Hollywood, right? You're in Hollywood.
I'm actually in Central time zone right now. I was in New York on Monday, but now I'm in Central. So we're just making our way back to the West Coast slowly.
All right. Well, look, you have a story to tell, and that's for sure. Let's take a trip back to where it all began. I'm interested in your story. When did you know that you wanted to be an actress?
So I've known my whole life, truly my whole life. I've never changed my mind. I was that kid that always wanted to be the center of attention and perform. I would make everyone in preschool, before we would be able to play on the recess or play on the playground during recess, sit on the side and wait for me to sing Part of Your Word, because I was convinced those were the words from Little Mermaid. And
so
my mom would pick me up and they'd say, she's a character. So
that
never changed.
Well, I mean, picking it up from there, did your family and friends think you were crazy, or did they support your choice to become an actress later on?
They were very supportive. You know, I sometimes apologize to my mom, though, because this was definitely not her dream. And yet she's crying with me. She's experiencing the journey with me. And there are times where I'm like, I'm so sorry. But she's always been super supportive.
It's not actually a common thing. Lots of parents are worried about people going into your profession because of the uncertainty. So, yeah, you're very lucky to have had that support, which is amazing. Yeah.
I am so thankful.
And how did the doors of the theatre open to you? Because obviously you began your career in the theatre, is that right?
I did, yes.
Okay. So how did you get involved with that? Did you have an agent? Did you just happen to know someone who was in that industry?
I had looked around for community theater, and I found a repertory company that was auditioning in the beginning of the year when I was about to be a freshman in high school.
Okay.
And I just showed up and I auditioned and thankfully made it. And I just kept on going. And then I went to college, and my parents had asked me to major in something that paid. And I honored that. And when I graduated, they were like, all right, you have our blessing. Go pursue your dream.
Wow.
So I headed to Nashville. That's where I started first.
No, you weren't. Listen, your story is amazing. And I found you because of your, I mean, we'll move on to it, but obviously through COVID, your determination, your drive, your motivation, it was that I sort of was drawn to. So, I mean, we'll come on to that, but how did you stay motivated and inspired in such a competitive industry? I mean, you must have known, you had your eyes wide open, so you must have known it was very competitive. Were you ever worried that maybe your dream would come crumbling down?
It did at one point. It did. The dream definitely came crumbling down a couple times.
Right.
And what kept me motivated, honestly, was knowing that I was meant to do that with my life. There was no plan B in my head. There was nothing else I wanted to do that gave me the same feeling that acting did. And so I felt motivated. But you know what really helped was my family and my friends. Because when I didn't even believe in myself, they believed in me. And they supported me. And they're a huge reason why I kept going.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that, because now looking at everything that was actually going to happen, I can't even imagine if I had quit and not seen what was just around the river bend.
Well, I mean, if you could give anyone any advice, if you could sort of go back to that time where, you fell down and had to pick yourself back up, what kind of advice would you give a newbie who's thinking about becoming an actor or going into this profession?
Oh my goodness. I have so much advice. How much time do you have? I think what I would say, like, don't give up. but also appreciate every little tiny win and victory on the journey.
Right.
Let yourself be sad when you don't get a role that you really wanted. I usually take a day and I designate that day to be sad. And then the
Right.
next day I get back up and I keep going. And, but you do need to feel through those emotions. So I would just encourage someone not to feel shame or guilt for feeling sadness along the way.
Is it all about glamour? I mean, I see Instagram every day and I see actors every day on Instagram, and it tends to be dressed a little bit, towards glamour and red carpet events and those sort of things. Is life as an actress really like that? Is that the reality, or do you have to take a hard pill to swallow? It's not like that at all.
No, those are definitely the highlights, and
Right.
that's part of social media that is hard because the journey itself can be really difficult, and that's the part that I think just as human beings we relate to more.
Yeah.
Is the struggle. And so I'm grateful that we get to be excited about things like red carpets and awards and all of that. But the journey itself is really hard, and everyone goes through something. So I really like to hone in on the journey part of it instead of the award, because I'm so grateful for that. But that is not, I mean, you're not seeing the 10 years and some of the homeless moments and just all of the tears that went into it. And I think those are the parts that I want people to really know, because I want them to feel like they're not alone in that.
That's lovely. Okay, well, look, you moved from stage to screen. You made that transition. I mean, you haven't finished with the stage by any means, but what kind of differences have you noticed between performing in front of a live audience and acting for the camera?
A live audience has an energy about it that fuels you. So when you have a live audience, they're feeding, they're laughing or they're experiencing the moment with you in person. Right. And so it really does fuel you as an actor. And I love live audiences. There's nothing like that energy. But it's also, you only have one shot. You've been you work so hard, and then you've got that one performance that you just hope that everything that you put into it before it shows on the stage. And with being on set and cameras, you have a couple more opportunities to really give the audience on the other side of the camera what they're looking for, which I really, really enjoy.
Because one of the things I noticed about you was that the energy you give. I mean, I saw, for those in the audience who don't know you yet, you're on YouTube. I think you uploaded some new materials today of you on stage. You can see this big beaming smile, and you're kind of connecting with the audience, I suppose. And then in contrast to that, I saw a clip from one of your movies, and it was a very serious type of acting that you were doing, a fight scene. And it was just interesting that the contrast between you connecting with the audience, a live performance, and the recording behind the camera. So it was really different. I was quite blown away that you can carry off two very different genres so well.
Thank you so much. Yeah. It's so fun.
Yeah, I can see that. You really do have fun with it. So what about nerves? I mean, every actress and actor has, nerves, stage fright. Is it something you get used to? Is it something that you just turn off, ignore, or do you still to this day have some sort of nerves before you go on?
I definitely think nerves are healthy to an extent because it keeps you very alert on what you're doing.
Right.
So I really do love that part. I definitely think that when I do get nervous now, it's more of a body reaction than it is a mind reaction, which is so strange, but I think it comes from, some maybe hard moments that were in my past that because of things I couldn't control, I, was anxious before getting on screen, or I'm sorry, on a stage. And so my body reacts, but my mind's like, okay, come on, pull it together. You're fine. But there's more excitement than there is fear, because when
Right.
I get on a stage or when I'm on a set, I feel home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really like to ground myself when I get on a stage.
Yeah.
And there's just this feeling that comes over me that you just, for me, in my head, I actively say, I am meant to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
And
can
that
see that.
helps
I
me.
feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, that really
How do
helps.
you switch off? I mean, lots of people would say, that you're on a high when you're on stage and
Hmm.
you have connected with the audience and you've got this big beaming smile. You are the definition of happy. And then all of a sudden it's the end of the show. What happens? Do you come down? It's like a big downer, or you're just on a buzz for the rest of the day?
Oh gosh. Well, for me, I tend to try to stay on that cloud nine for as long as I possibly can.
Right.
And it's it definitely has its crash,
Hmm.
and that is something to really be aware of. As an
Right.
actor, you really do feel extreme emotions. So
Yeah.
there's not really a middle. You kind of have to create the middle for yourself. So
Right.
for me, I love being able to have something to look forward to, like after the show, something that like, oh, I'm gonna, watch we're gonna rewatch everything together as
Yeah.
a cast, and something that you get to look forward to that kind of damp helps the blow in a sense. But it is hard. It is definitely hard. There have been multiple
Yeah.
moments where I have held and suppressed emotions that the
Yeah.
next day I'll just be crying my eyes out, and whoever's around me, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I
Yeah.
don't know what's happening, but I'm fine.
Yeah. Well, look, 2013, if I can take you back, looked like a very defining year for you. You made the decision to move to Hollywood. Was it a path filled with bright lights and gold, or was the reality very different from the dream?
The reality was very different from the dream. The rosy glasses came off pretty fast. I actually I packed my car up and moved
Right.
out to Los Angeles a little at the very end of 2012.
Right.
And but I had just come back from Haiti on a
Wow.
mission trip with my friends, and we had partnered with Kids Alive International in the jungle, and I got bit by a lot of bugs, which
Wow.
is important for the story, but I didn't
Yeah.
care because we were in the jungle.
Yeah.
But I came back with an autoimmune disease, and I didn't know
no.
about it until I was in LA and I was starting to network and pursue things, and all of a sudden my immune system started crashing, and people couldn't figure it
My
out for
God.
3 years. So
Wow.
it really, the industry itself and pursuing acting kept me going because I knew that was my dream. But everything from literally having no food, no money for food,
Yeah.
and my friends literally sent me care packages of Trader
Wow.
Joe's gift cards and food in those moments, and not knowing or being able to trust my body and how it was going to react when I was out trying to, and I came off
Wow.
much more desperate than I wanted to when I would be meeting people in the industry, and it definitely
Yeah.
hindered that because people can see the desperation, and I felt
Yeah.
it. I had nothing
Yeah.
to give, and I was really trying.
It's an amazing story, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are listening to this are thinking to themselves, my God, I thought I had it bad.
It was not what I thought was going to be a part of the story, for sure.
Yeah.
I was
Well, look,
always healthy. So
You met,
that was new.
well, that's a good thing, yeah. Was it a case of, you touched on the word networking there, which is a word I know very well.
Yes.
Was it a case of who you know rather than what you know? Or what you knew?
From where I am standing now and what I've learned these past 10 years of trying to gain momentum and having it stop and all the things, I have found that the moments that have moved me forward the most have been because of the people that I know that have
Right.
stuck their self out for me in
Right.
such a gracious way. And I would definitely say that has been huge and key in my success.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
my momentum.
important. Yeah, it's important to say. Okay, well, look, I'm going to wind the clock forward to 2020. You got a leading role with Skycraft Studios in a movie called Under a Dead Sky. Tell me a little bit about what it was like to be cast as a lead, because I'm guessing that must have been a tremendous push forward. But, how did you react there, and what were the challenges like?
Well, I was approached by Nate Joseph, who owns Skycraft Studios, and he was like, "I have a script. I'm not done with it. Do you want to help co-write it with me, and we'll film it?" And I read it, and it was like the exact kind of role I was hoping for that I was never getting auditions for. So
Right.
I was pumped. I was so excited. I was like, yes, absolutely. And so I helped co-write that, and we location scouted, and we got together an incredibly talented group of people, actors, to join us in that. We got
So
to,
you were very much hands on. You took
Oh,
the
yeah.
lead and just ran with it.
Yes, I definitely had help. I was not
Right.
alone in that for sure. I can't take full credit, but we got to my cast, my co-star and I would go, and we learned and kind of figured out our own fight choreography.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
that was super fun. And then our cinematographer was incredible. Everyone on the set, everyone that participated was great. The only reason the world didn't see it was because 2020 hit.
And that's my next question, right?
Yeah.
COVID-19 had a profound effect on your industry. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And, to be honest, there were a lot of actors and actresses that sort of, didn't recover from that and couldn't make it back in the industry. But, and this is the thing, you had determination, resilience. You had an unwavering desire to sort of overcome challenges. I love that about you. And you continue to navigate the sort of changing landscape with grace. And, talk me through that. Was it a time that you actually sort of looked in the mirror and thought to yourself, listen, I've had enough, going back home, can't take it anymore? Or was it a different story?
Oh man. So I actually got COVID right before everything
Wow.
shut down. So they
Wow.
weren't testing in the hospitals yet for it. I realized when I tested for antibodies later on in the year, but I ended up in the hospital and they misdiagnosed me. And even though I couldn't breathe, they sent me home. And I was 3 weeks out from joining tour again. We were doing a North American tour of Peppa Pig Live the Musical, and I was going to be playing Peppa.
Right.
And I could not even do one squat, let alone be in a show. And I was counting down the days. I was like, I've got to be getting better soon. I don't know what's going on with me. And sure enough, what it had done was it had opened, I had been healing from the autoimmune disease, but what COVID did was it opened up an underlying condition that I thought I was finished with, which was Lyme disease.
Right.
And I started having to fight off long-term COVID as well as Lyme at the same time. And so I did not get better until November of 2020. That was when I started seeing a difference in being able to walk upstairs and do normal things again. And I remember walking into 2021 really unsure because we were taken out of the hustle, and I had hustled for so long in a specific way that I was like, I feel like I'm going back to zero.
Yeah, I guess. I can imagine you've put up the fight. You've come this far. You took the lead. You ran with it. And then it just, this thing was a big obstacle in your way that you couldn't beat.
It was so hard. And it's interesting because I signed with Zero Gravity Management, which is a really prestigious, wonderful management in the beginning of 2020. But when everything shut down, they dropped so many newbies that they had taken on. So I lost that opportunity. Warner Brothers, I was talking to different people at Warner Brothers about joining them in projects after I got back from tour. Everything was starting to move forward, and then everything died.
Yeah, and for everybody.
So, for everyone, exactly. And the determination to move forward, it was really hard because starting over, learning something new, and being like, okay, well, am I ever going to gain that back? Was
big doubts. Big
risk.
doubts.
It was a risk that I had to mentally and emotionally decide for myself that I was willing to take yet once again.
Well, look, you have a massive fan base, and some of them have been contacting the magazine all week.
Oh my gosh.
One of them wrote to me and said that you are a natural born talent. And it was really nice to get these comments. Why do you have such a strong connection with those around you? Is it your personality? Is it the way that you interact with your audience? Is it,
Wow.
I mean, what is it about you that, do you think it's that your story is a bit like the underdog story? Is that why they relate to you?
I'm unbelievably humbled right now to even hear that. I didn't know that. I think depending on who it is, I think everyone has an individual story, and something that I really try to do and what I really want to be known for in the industry, other than obviously giving 110% to any project and any role I have, is to love. I want people to experience a love that maybe they haven't experienced in their lifetime. That, especially in the industry, kindness goes a long way. And
that's nice. Well said.
I really care. I really care about people. They matter to me more than they're the reason. That I do what I do. I love it. I love getting to meet new people and experience their life.
There is a certain genuine factor about you, I have to admit. I can't put my finger on it, but you are a very genuine person. I forget the acting side, but as your personality comes across, I mean, it just is very genuine. I mean, it's the first time I'm actually physically talking to you.
I know, this is fabulous. I'm so excited. I couldn't wait. I was looking forward to this.
Well, look, let's talk about the now. I mean, in the past year, you've been nominated multiple times for Best Actress around the globe for your role in a short film called Keelia, which is currently in the film festival circuit. Tell me about the movie and how you got involved.
That's a really cool story. So this kind of goes back to Lyme disease. I was not prioritizing my health the way I should have been while I was hustling, and my organs and different things started shutting down. So I had to split my time between LA and Texas to get treatments, because my treatments were in Texas, and I felt like I had failed at my dream, that I had failed and nothing was going to happen. So I was laying in bed and I got this email from a director who had written me through Backstage, and in LA we didn't really use Backstage that much, like my agent and different representation. So I hadn't had it since I think 2005. I really didn't have it for so long, and so I was like, I don't know how this guy got my information. And so I looked on, because I liked the breakdown he sent me, and I looked and I tried to log into Backstage, and I couldn't. I had to pay, and all I had in my account was the amount that it costs to buy Backstage. And I was like, okay, and I believe in God, I believe in faith, and I was like, okay, God, do I do this or do I let this go? And I was like, whatever, I'm gonna do it. So I got in, and sure enough, everything was not up to date like I thought, except for my headshot. I was a brunette in my headshot. It was my current one. Now I'm a blonde, but it was a current headshot, and I didn't know how that happened. So I did everything I was always told not to do. I messaged the director, and I gave him my information if he would like to talk to me. I don't recommend that. You have to be careful. But
you've got to be careful.
I did get on the phone with him, and he told me about the role. He had me up against two other people, and he said, I asked him, I was like, how do you find me? And he said, I'm a man of faith, and I saw this button on the side that said find talent that had not seen the breakdown. He said he clicked it, and my headshot popped up. And I said, sir, that must have been God, because I wasn't on the site.
That's fate.
And after a couple callbacks later, I booked the role. And so Keelia is about a girl who comes back from the future searching for what the word love means, because it doesn't exist in the future.
Wow.
And so I got to portray a really incredible character looking for what love really was. And
it's a nice story.
It was, and it was a great story, and the cast was so fun. Rusty Joyner was my co-star, and we did not stop laughing the entire time. We had such a great time, and it's a pretty serious film. So anytime we weren't being serious, we were cracking up. And I just appreciate that so much about a lot of the people that I've worked with, just being able to have so much fun.
I love the way I want you to pronounce the name of that movie, because I know I've been doing it wrong.
No, you're totally fine. It's called Keelia. But don't worry, because no one's gotten it. for the most part. No, it's got it. So it's either way, Kalia, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
It's
my English accent, I think, that's ruined it.
I love it. But it's getting nominated and winning all across the globe, and we're just along
so
for the
happy
ride.
for you.
We're so grateful. Mm-hmm.
Really nice. Well, look, you're set to film a movie in September called Blue Moon Rising. Can you tell me a little bit about the movie without giving any spoilers away? Because obviously you don't want to get into any trouble, but
right.
Just give me a little bit, tiny bit.
I can say it's a thriller faith-based movie.
Nice.
Which is, and it deals with, or it centers around I don't know, like he's a retired
Don't get in any trouble.
I know. Retired military. I'm like saying things really slow to make sure. But a retired military vet and a small town. I think that's what I can say. But I play the love interest.
Okay.
Of that. And that's why I'm blonde. It's so funny. I got to go back blonde, which was so fun for a role.
Right. I mean, you sent me some headshots. I couldn't recognize you, all these different looks. I'm like, every single one is like, is this the same person?
I know. Oh my God. We went on a journey. That was a journey.
Wow.
For sure.
Wow.
Different headshots.
Well, look, you recently performed at 54 Below in New York City in a new musical called Boy on Billboard. And by your own admission, you think it could be headed to Broadway. It's a big deal, I think. And I saw the poster that said sold out. And I love that because that's what this is all about. Can you tell me anything about your experience with Boy on Billboard?
Oh my gosh, I would love to. Boy on Billboard probably is one of the most impactful projects I have ever done.
Wow.
It's about a true story that happened in the early 2000s of a family that one of the boys in the family as a teenager, an older teenager, he had some mental illness, mental struggle, and he ended up naked on top of a billboard conducting the sky that a storm was rolling in, and he heard music in the sky.
Wow.
And it's the journey before and after of the family. It's kind of a play within a musical. It really gets into the mind and the heart of the whole family. But what it is meant to do is hopefully inspire people to create safe spaces for people not to be okay, and it be okay that you're struggling through something. That it's allows us to feel less alone.
Yeah.
And it is the music director is actually that's her brother in real life. So it's her family's story that she's portraying. Okay. So even the music, every time I listen to it, no matter how many times I hear it, and the soundtrack is coming out in a couple weeks.
Nice. You'll have to send me the link and I'll post it. Yeah.
I will, for sure.
Okay. Well, look, last year you became a published author, and I read this and I thought, how many more things have you got on your wish list? It's a book titled Chosen to Live. And you shared a healing story. Is this a hidden talent, or are we going to expect more from Ashley Seal, the author?
I don't know. So it is a book compiling a lot of different people's healing journeys. And I knew the main author of the book that put it together, and he reached out to me and he said, hey, I know you've struggled through Lyme disease and you're still trying to pursue your dream. Would you mind sharing a piece of that in a chapter? And so it's called, the chapter's called Chasing the Limelight. And when I wrote that, I had been told I was free of Lyme disease. So I was like riding on a cloud nine yet once again.
You were freedom.
Yeah. And then 2 days before the book launch, I found out I was not free of it. And I was one of the speakers at the book launch. So I stood up there in front of a lot of people and was able to say, hey, like, it's not over. My story's not over. And I'm still going to fight this, but nothing's going to stop me from pursuing my dreams. And I know God has a plan. And for whatever reason, with Lyme and everything that comes with it, the anxiety, the depression, loneliness, it makes me feel more connected to people that are struggling through that I can come alongside and be people's out if they need it.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that.
Really good story. I love that. Absolutely love it. There's a story within a story. You'll have to write a book on the book.
I know. That would be awesome.
Well, look, writing a book is very different from writing a script. And currently you're co-writing a TV series and a rom-com. And you hope to act in them as well. I read that and I thought, wow, that's just amazing.
Thank you.
That you just kind of have this massive wish list that most people would just shy away from, and you're just knocking them off. And I think that's amazing. So these projects are expected to be streaming by next year. How far in are you with writing? I mean, with the script, and is it very different from writing the book?
Oh, yes, so much, because we're creating stories that don't exist. At least I like in mine. It's not based on a true story. But I'm definitely taking pieces of myself, because I want to be, when I walk into a room to audition, I want people to already see me in that role.
Right.
And I have learned that sometimes you have to create the work you want to play in. Yeah. And I am so grateful. My co-writers are two different people, and Nate Joseph, I'm writing with him for the TV series, and we are in talks right now in meetings with different production companies and studios to see who wants to pick it up. And I've learned so much. I think I'm walking into these in such a way that I wouldn't have been able to do had it been a couple years prior, where I feel this calmness, this confidence and calmness of, okay, I've got something I really am proud of, and I'm not feeling too desperate. I just want to work with the right people that want to make it great.
Sounds amazing. So if you're a studio listening in, please contact Ashley.
Yes, please. Okay. It's great. I'm so proud of it. We're so proud of it. And we have, I think it will, we really want to make a difference with it. So we're in talks of how we can do that and how we can give to people that aren't even in the industry. So that's a really big part that we want to do with our TV series. Anything I do, I want to be giving back to people. Nice.
I like that. Okay, moving on to what you do outside of acting and writing. I can't believe this either, because I don't even know where you get the time, Ashley. You work at a safe house with survivors of sex trafficking, and you support them on their healing journeys, and you help them to rebuild their lives. Your support saves lives. How did you get involved with this? Is it a charity? Was it an actual calling? Did you know someone? How did you get involved?
So when I started feeling better after my treatments in 2023, I was like, okay, I need a job. And as I keep pursuing this, and I was like, if I'm going to be doing something, I want it to make a difference. And I thought about who I had met and who I'd been surrounded by that I really liked. And I thought of who is my current boss right now, but I was like, oh man, she was so kind. I wonder what she does. And I looked her up, and I wrote her, and I was like, I can be a jack of all trades. I don't care, like whatever you need. And they interviewed me.
Do you know what, Ashley? I love that hustle in you.
Thank you. I really was. I was like, I want to. I didn't even know what I was getting into, to be perfectly honest. I'm all about all kinds of different organizations and caring about people, but I really didn't know what I was getting into. I started doing the training, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. What is this? And but when I got to the safe house and I stepped on the grounds of the safe house, my first day of work, I felt like God ignited a piece of my heart that I didn't even know I had.
Wow, it's lovely.
That was going to be a part of Plan A, that there was actually room for something else in Plan A. And right now I'm working at the safe house, but as I move forward in my acting career, that most likely will take on a different position where I am speaking, and I am hopefully inspiring people to be educated more in what that is and like what it's like in the United States. And it's not just overseas. It's not just at the border. It's not, what the stereotype of a lot of media might say. It's in our backyard. And it's not just people getting kidnapped. It's really tragic other parts of the stories. And everyone has a unique story. But I will say the women I have met that have escaped and are pursuing healing and a different life for themselves are the bravest women I have ever met in my life.
Wow. Yeah, I can't even imagine being in that situation. So hats off to you for being involved, you know. Well, look, Ashley, unfortunately, we're out of I could talk to you forever.
This is so fun. I mean, anytime.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, we are truly out of time. But listen, thank you, Ashley Seal, for sharing your incredible journey with us. I'd love to have you back on the show. So, you know, as soon as things transpire with your writing and your future projects, please come back on the show and tell everyone about what's been going on. We'd love to know.
I would absolutely just love that. It's such a privilege. Thank you so much for having me.
You're truly welcome. Well, look, we wish you continued success in your career and look forward to your future projects. In fact, you know, I think what you've got so many different levels to you. We might have to have a little mini series.
Hey, I'm in. You just say the word. Let's do it. I'll put it in my schedule.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, for our listeners, I've put Ashley's Instagram details in the podcast description box. Please remember to like, share, and comment. Until next time, bye for now.